"It's you again," Lee said angrily when he recognized Debbie. "First you ruined my favorite song, now you make my dog sick." Debbie's stomach still hurt. She couldn't even open her eyes. She had no idea what had happened, and Lee's words just confused her. Janice and Rita also had no idea what was going on. They didn't know that Melissa had given the water to Debbie. At that moment, the ambulance arrived, flashing red and blue lights. It stopped outside the auditorium, and 2 paramedics lifted a stretcher out of the back. "We need to get Debbie to the hospital. We can sort this out later," Janice said as she and Rita went to help Debbie onto the stretcher. "Stop," Lee shouted. "Did I say you could leave?" They all froze. Lee's gaze landed on Melissa. "Give the water to the doctor and get them to check if it contains poison." "Yes, sir." Melissa picked up the bottle of mineral water and handed it to the paramedic. The paramedic knew who Lee was, so he agreed straight away. He used the equipment in the ambulance to do a quick check on the contents of the bottle. While this was happening, Angelina had asked the other paramedic to treat her beloved dog. He immediately injected Duke with analgesics and anti-inflammatories to stabilize his condition. The first paramedic finished his tests and ran out of the ambulance. He said to Lee, "Mr. Dempsey, the test has shown that there has been poison added to this water. Drinking this water would cause severe abdominal pain." Hearing this, the crowd was in an uproar. Lee glared angrily at Debbie, who opened her eyes in shock. She looked at Melissa, and only then did she realize what had happened. Debbie slowly raised her arm and pointed at Melissa, saying, "It's her, Mr. Dempsey. This bottle of water. She gave it to me," Melissa said in a fluster. She looked at Lee, afraid that he would believe what Debbie said. She continued, "Mr. Dempsey, she's trying to frame me because she thinks that I reported her to Miss Campbell." Debbie looked at Melissa furiously and said, "Nonsense! It was you!" "Obviously, you drank it yourself to cover up the truth. Don't bother trying to frame me. If you admit the truth to Mr. Dempsey, I'm sure he'll understand and take pity on you." Melissa panicked, but she wasn't afraid. Today, she wanted Debbie to repay the debt that she felt she owed her, and with interest. Lee looked coldly at Debbie. "You must hate me for criticizing your singing, right?" he said. "So you decided to take it out on my dog? You have to understand that I sponsored this competition. I can only have the best singers on stage. Go on, admit what you did." Debbie looked at Lee and shook her head. It wasn't like that. She had no bad feelings toward him. She now knew that Melissa had orchestrated everything. "You destroyed my favorite song and then poisoned my dog. Are you tired of living or something?" Lee's tone became increasingly sinister as he continued. "Big girl, if anything happens to my dog, you'd better stay well away from me." At that moment, Angelina walked straight over to Debbie and, without saying anything, she slapped her face twice. Neither Janice nor Rita tried to stop her. "How dare you poison my dog? Duke's life is worth 100 times yours. Who do you think you are?" she said fiercely to Debbie. Then she calmly walked back to Lee's side. "How's Duke now?" Lee asked Angelina. "I asked the paramedic to give him painkillers. He's in less pain now than he was before." As Angelina was talking to Lee, the paramedic walked over with Duke and said, "Mr. Dempsey, your dog isn't in pain for the time being, but you need to find a professional veterinarian to have a look at him." "Thank you. We'll see the vet later." Lee bent down and stroked Duke's head. His gaze turned toward Debbie, and he whispered sinisterly to the dog, "Duke, do you know why you were in so much pain earlier? It was because of her. Do you want to take revenge?" Duke seemed to understand Lee's words and bared his teeth at Debbie. "Mr. Dempsey, what are you doing?" Janice and Rita were both terrified. Debbie also opened her eyes wide and looked at Duke. But Lee ignored them. He patted Duke's head and unhooked the leash. Duke ran toward Debbie while growling and baring his teeth. Janice and Rita were terrified and moved away from Debbie's side. Debbie forgot all about the pain in her abdomen. Looking at Duke charging toward her, she got up quickly and tried to run. With every step she took, pain shot through her stomach. She ran full steam into the artificial lake, but Duke rushed in after her. He reached her quickly, baring his teeth and trying to bite her. In order to avoid the attack, Debbie punched the dog's head with all her might, but she was no match for Duke. A piece of her clothing was bitten off by the ferocious dog. While Debbie was being mauled by a crazed dog in Chicago, Alex was getting drunk with his friends in New York. With a flushed face, he raised his glass and clinked it with Joe. "Drink, my friend. You've really found yourself a wonderful wife." Debbie fell into the lake with a splash. She choked as she swallowed a mouthful of water and desperately tried to stand up. Duke bit her arm and she started bleeding. Meanwhile, Alex clinked glasses with his friends. The liquor splashed out and they all laughed loudly. Alex felt happy. He couldn't remember feeling as content as he did that night. In the artificial lake, the girl and the dog were splashing maniacally. Duke had a lot of energy, but Debbie was already on the verge of exhaustion. Her clothes were torn, her body was bitten, and she was starting to lose a lot of blood. Duke was looking for an opportunity to bite her neck and finish her off. Janice and Rita pleaded with Lee to save Debbie, but it was useless. If Duke killed Debbie, Lee would tell everyone that it was an accident. His reputation wouldn't be affected at all. At that moment, a strident voice came from behind the crowd. "Hey, isn't this meant to be a talent show? Why is there no one on the stage, and why are all of you standing out here?" 4 female performers walked out with the young man. The girls were all elegantly dressed and stunningly attractive. Any one of them could be a supermodel. In contrast, the young man was wearing shades, a baggy t-shirt, and surfer shorts showing off his... He looked like he was wearing a pair of woolen pants. Trying to get on Lee's good side, an audience member pointed to the approaching young man and said rudely, "Hey, who are you? How did you get here? Don't you know Mr. Dempsey's here?" The youth glanced at the young man and then told the girls beside him to wait a moment. He casually walked over to him and asked softly, "Were you talking to me?" The young man tried to act tough, but he was still a little nervous. He spluttered, "Yes, Mr. Dempsey's still here. Who do you think you are?" But before he could finish, the youth had already reached over and had hit him. The poor young man's lips were swollen and bleeding. His handsome face was battered and bruised, and he was on the verge of tears. "Mr. Dempsey, he hit me," he complained to Lee in a whine. "Shut up." Not only did Lee not help him, but he actually punched him as well. The poor man was now bleeding from his nose. He was in complete misery. If he had known what was going to happen, he would have never gotten involved. No one could understand what Lee was doing. Why wasn't he kicking out this arrogant newcomer? To their surprise, Lee walked over to him with a fawning smile and said, "Mr. Ambrose, when did you arrive in Chicago? Why didn't you get someone to notify me when you arrived? I would have arranged for someone to pick you up." The audience was dumbfounded. They wondered, who is this Mr. Ambrose that Lee Dempsey's so afraid of? One man muttered to his friend, "Mr. Dempsey's such an important and powerful businessman, and yet he bowed to this slob?" "This Mr. Ambrose must be even more important than Lee Dempsey," agreed his friend. The first man looked at his phone and confirmed, "Yeah, he is. The internet says that this Mr. Ambrose is involved with half of the female celebrities in the entertainment industry. He's worth a fortune." From Lee's reaction to the youth, the onlookers had guessed his identity. The young man was Alex's half-brother, Justin. Since he had never been interested in the family business, no one recognized him. Although Justin was a member of the Ambrose family, his part of the family was far less rich and powerful than Alex's, and his wealth was far inferior. However, he was still one of the richest men in America. Lee knew this and had to treat him with respect. "Stop trying to scare to me. I'm here to watch a talent show," Justin said rudely to Lee. "Why is it stopped? What's going on, and what's happening in the lake?" Lee replied, We were in the middle of a talent show when this woman poisoned my dog. I'm letting my dog bite her. Then we'll see if she dares to do something like that again." Lee pointed at Debbie, who was still struggling in the water. Justin hugged the 4 girls beside him and looked over at the artificial lake. Amidst the splashes, he could make out a dog crazily attacking a woman. It was impossible to see the woman's face. He nodded in approval and said, "I have an African lion at home. If anyone tried to poison my lion, I would let him eat him." Just then the dog in the water jumped toward the woman's neck, and Justin got a clear view of her face. He was shocked. He recognized her as the same woman he had met on Harmony Island. It was his half-brother's girlfriend, Debbie. "Stop him. Stop. I know her. Stop your crazy dog now." Justin ran full pelt into the artificial lake. Justin was wearing a pair of shorts, and he ran like Donald Duck, but he was determined to help Debbie. When he had met her on Harmony Island, he had really liked her. If it wasn't for the fact that Debbie was his brother's girlfriend, he would have tried to persuade her to date him. Angelina, who was standing beside Lee, didn't understand what was going on, but she guessed that it was some sort of emergency for Justin to be running flat out into the lake. She whistled and waved at Duke in the water. "Here, boy, come back to Mommy." Duke had been raised by Angelina. The moment she called him, she stopped attacking Debbie and ran onto the shore. He rushed over to her. Duke was about to attack Justin, but Angelina pulled him away. Debbie, who was still in the artificial lake, had lost all her strength. She was in severe pain, and there were several bite wounds on her body. She was floating in the water, too weak to save herself. She was losing all sense of what was happening and was starting to dip in and out of consciousness. Her only clear sensation was pain. The only thing she knew was that she wanted to get away from the pain as quickly as possible. She was ready to die. Even if she had some stamina left to stay alive, she had lost the will. She didn't hear Justin running toward her shouting, "Debbie, hang on, I'm coming." She fell backward under the water, and the world went completely quiet. As her body sank, she felt the diamond necklace around her neck floating up with the waves to her face. She wanted to touch the diamonds, but she didn't have the strength. As her eyes focused on the necklace, she remembered the day that Alex had given it to her. The memory of Alex placing the necklace around her neck appeared before her eyes. She remembered the moment when Alex had kissed her in front of everyone. That kiss was so sweet. Debbie had no idea that at that moment, in New York, Alex was lying drunk on the dining table as he had lost all control of his body. He was very happy with his friends, and a stupid smile was plastered on his flushed face. She didn't have the energy to think about Alex anymore, and the image of him disappeared from her mind. She was fading away. But then the words that Alex once said began appearing in her mind, one by one, as she was dying. "Don't worry, I'll make everyone pay. Just tell me who hurt you. I'll look after you, and I'll protect you from all of them. It's all right. As long as I'm here, I promise I won't let you get hurt, even if I get injured protecting you. Don't worry." She thought, "Alex, although you didn't do what you said, I don't blame you at all. I'm sorry. I left before I could say goodbye to you. If I could hold on, I wouldn't give up, but it hurts too much. I'm sorry. Take care of yourself, Alex." Debbie closed her eyes. Her body gradually sank to the bottom of the lake. She was finally free. "Debbie!" Justin shouted in panic as he ran into the lake. He dived into the water and dragged Debbie to the surface, losing his shorts in the process. "Debbie, are you okay? Debbie!" Justin was standing in the water and shouting at her, but her face was pale and she didn't move at all. He was frightened and shouted over to the ambulance. "Get over here and help me! Come over here, quick!" Justin dragged her body toward the shore as the 2 paramedics rushed over to them with a stretcher. They managed to get her on the stretcher. Luckily, Debbie was still breathing. Justin shouted at the paramedics, "Hurry up and get her to the hospital. If anything happens to her, I will destroy your families. Now go." The paramedics quickly loaded Debbie into the ambulance, and headed to the hospital with the sirens screaming and the lights flashing. Justin took out his phone and called Alex with a frown. He knew that he had to let him know what had happened to Debbie. His eyes filled with worry as he placed his phone to his ear. Lying on the table, drunk, Alex didn't notice his phone blinking, ringing and shaking. "Damn it, what the hell are you doing?" Justin tried calling 3 times, but he couldn't get through. In a fit of anger, he threw his phone into the lake and said, "Damn it." He looked at the others with a cold gaze and walked toward the crowd in his bare feet. As he walked, he pointed at Lee and cursed. "You have a nerve. How dare you touch my brother's girlfriend?" He went over to Lee and slapped him on the face. Everyone gasped. They had renewed respect for Justin, having the courage to slap someone like Lee. Lee pleaded, "Justin, please calm down. It was this woman who poisoned my dog. It was because I was so angry that I wanted to punish her. Anyway, I didn't know she was Alex's girlfriend." After being slapped, Lee didn't feel pain or even shame. He felt fear. He wanted to calm Justin down as quickly as he could. After staying with Debbie on Harmony Island for 10 days, he was a little in love with her. He couldn't understand how Lee couldn't see what she was really like. "Do you really believe that Debbie poisoned your dog? Don't you realize that she can't even bear to pick a single flower? Do you think someone like that could harm your dog?" With Justin's mind made up about the situation, Lee knew that saying anything more would only make him angrier. He pointed at Charlie and Melissa and said, "They told me that my dog got sick because he drank her mineral water." "You all." Justin looked coldly at Charlie and Melissa and slowly walked toward them. Charlie was so scared that he looked like he had aged instantly. He stuttered, "Justin, that's not what happened." His face was creased and his lips were trembling. Saliva and mucus were flowing down his face, and his legs were shaking badly. Just as Justin approached to slap his face, Charlie's legs collapsed beneath him, and he dropped to the ground. Kneeling on the ground in front of Justin, he continued to beg, "Justin, it wasn't me, it was her. It was Melissa who made me frame Alex's girlfriend, and she was the one who gave her that bottle of water. She spiked the water with the drugs, causing Debbie's stomachache." Without hesitation, Charlie tried to put all the blame onto Melissa. He made it very clear that he was not responsible for any of it. Luckily, his feet were still bare, so he didn't do too much damage. He turned to Melissa, shouting, "Damn it! How dare you spike Debbie's water?" Melissa's body went limp, and she also fell onto the ground. "Stop pretending you're hurt. Get up!" Justin cursed at Melissa. Then he turned to the 4 girls he was with and said, "Go into the lake and find my shorts." Soon someone brought Justin his shorts. He continued to shout at Melissa, who was lying on the ground. Seeing Justin approaching, Duke threw himself forward, barking wildly. "Woof, woof, 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 woof." He remembered vividly how Justin had just kicked him. "Duke, calm down." Angelina scratched his head and smiled awkwardly at Justin. "What are you going to do?" she asked him as she pulled the dog behind her with the leash. Justin ignored her. His gaze was fixed on Duke. "Bring me a pair of pliers," Justin roared. Although none of his actual servants was there, no one wanted to disobey him. Lee immediately had the staff find a pair of pliers and personally handed them over to Justin. The only thing on his mind was quelling Justin's anger toward him. Angelina shouted angrily at Lee. "Lee, how could you?" She was furious with him. Not only did he not stick up for her and Duke, but he had become Justin's accomplice. Justin had already walked up to her. She shouted at him anxiously, "Go away!" "Shut up." Justin snatched the leash from Angelina's hands and kicked her to the ground. "Woof, woof, woof." Duke barked crazily at Justin, still trying to bite him. "This dog's even more dangerous than I thought." Justin had the advantage of the dog leash, so it was easy for him to dodge the dog's attack. By the time Justin let go of Duke, he had pulled out 5 or 6 of his teeth, which were now lying on the ground. Duke had lost all his bravado and was now terrified of Justin. He jumped up from the ground and ran toward Angelina with his tail between his legs. "Get out of my way!" Angelina shouted and rushed over to her dog. She had wanted to rush over and save him when Justin had been pulling Duke's teeth out, but Lee had stopped her. Now, she pushed him away and squatted down to look at Duke, whose head was starting to swell from being hit. When she opened his mouth, she could see that it was filled with blood and that a few of his teeth were missing. "Justin!" Angelina had raised Duke. She loved him and was furious with Justin when she saw what he had done. "Look what you've done!" she shouted at him as he walked toward her. He wanted to settle things with Angelina, but before he could say anything, she screamed at him. Angelina rushed toward Justin, waving her fists at him. "Just get lost." "Woof, woof." Duke saw that his mistress was hurt, so he barked twice. Justin looked at him, and Duke shut his mouth obediently, putting his head down submissively. "One look at this smelly dog and I can tell that its mistress is not a good person." Justin cursed at Angelina and was about to kick her. Angelina glared at him and said in a high-pitched voice, "Justin, you mustn't kick me." "Really? Why not?" Justin was still angry, but he was starting to calm down. He was no longer as hot-headed and was so interested to hear why Angelina thought he shouldn't hit her. "Because I'm pregnant." Angelina stood up from the ground. Hearing her words, Lee was stupefied. He had been using protective measures all along, so how could Angelina be pregnant? He sputtered, "Angelina, you—" "Tut-tut," Justin didn't care. "So what if you're pregnant?" he replied. He had never been a merciful person. "Justin, you still want to hurt me? Then you need to know that the child I'm carrying isn't Lee's. It's the child of Guy Avery, Sir Fred Avery's son." When she said this, everyone gasped in shock. "Whoa, Angelina's having another man's baby. What a—" one man said in disgust. Another replied, "Guy and Chuck Avery are the sons of Sir Fred Avery, one of the richest men in the world. I don't understand how Angelina managed to meet them." His friend agreed. "I knew it must be someone powerful if they dared to cheat with Lee Dempsey's girlfriend. I couldn't think of anyone powerful enough in Chicago, but it turns out to be young Guy Avery. Lee has no power at all compared to him." The chatter continued. "I've heard that last month, Guy Avery spent a week in Hollywood. He's friends with one of the great directors, I think Clint Eastwood. He stayed there for a week, and apparently during that time, more than 10 female Hollywood celebrities were seen going in and out of his hotel room. No one knows what they were doing." "Angelina, you—" Lee stuttered. His face was red and his voice was angry. His eyes were slightly trembling. Angelina glared at him and came straight to the point. She said calmly, "Well, my plan was to be tactful and let you down gently. But today you were such a— Justin, I realize that you clearly can't protect me. So why should I care about not embarrassing you? It's over." Lee raised his hand angrily. Angelina egged him on. "Go on then. Try touching me if—" Lee clenched his fists, but after a moment, thought better of it and lowered them. He knew that his family was no match for the Averys. Plus, Angelina was already pregnant with Guy Avery's child, so he absolutely couldn't touch her. "I knew it." Angelina proudly glared at Lee, then looked at Justin. She said, "Justin, I've investigated your family. Although the Ambrose family is very famous in New York and among the whole country's upper-class society, as far as I know, your family's warrior enterprises can't compare to the Dempsey family business. What I don't understand is, why is your reputation so much greater than Lee's?" Justin's branch of the family was only involved with a few of the Ambrose family business enterprise, but it was clear why his family was so prestigious. Famous people like Ken Stokes were involved in the enterprise, running the East Coast division of the company. Ken had a huge influence in New York. As long as the Ambrose business enterprises had such well-respected and influential people working for them, the kudos would always rub off on Justin's side of the family, too. Angelina asked, "Is it that your family are poor relations of the Ambrose family, but you've managed to build them into something respectable on social media?" She had heard that this was quite common now. There were plenty of examples of hoodlums from the ghettos in Chicago who had used social media to talk themselves into riches and respectability. Some were even starting charities to build their own reputations and become famous. Angelina continued, "I think your family's just like that. In reality, you have no power or wealth, so what gives you the right to look down on me?" The more she spoke, the more she knew she was right. And now she had Guy Avery supporting her. She had nothing to fear from Justin. "I know I'm right," she said, "but I really can't recall. What kind of business is Warrior Enterprises? At least Lee has his own restaurant chain with delicious food and his live broadcast channels. Justin, you just seem to party and chase women." Onlookers heard what Angelina was saying and voiced their own opinions. One said, "Damn, I think Angelina's right. In fact, I'm not even sure that Warrior Enterprises is that successful. In fact, I don't think it's even ranked in the top 10 companies in Chicago." "Do you think Justin is afraid of Guy Avery?" asked his wife. He replied knowledgeably, "One is a mouse and the other is the son of the richest man in America. If Guy Avery wants to harm Justin, I can't see anything stopping him." All their friends agreed. Angelina continued arrogantly, "Justin, I know I'm right. And remember what you did. You actually pulled out Duke's teeth. If you don't want Guy to know about this, then kneel down and apologize to me immediately." Feeling that Guy would support her, she felt very confident. Justin smiled and slowly bent down. In a sarcastic voice, he said, "Oh, of course. Let me kneel down and apologize to you. Sure, no problem." Angelina laughed abruptly. "Ugh, you still want to fight with me? Go on, kneel down in front of me right now." She was waiting for a response from Justin, when all of a sudden, Angelina felt the world spinning around her. She realized that she was being carried on Justin's shoulder. "Put me down!" she shouted. The corner of Justin's mouth hooked up into a carefree smile. He spun on the spot and whirled Angelina around. She was screaming as she started feeling dizzy and shaken. Finally, Justin stopped. Angelina continued to shout, "Justin, put me down! I'm going to tell Guy all about this. You're in so much trouble." "If you want to sue me, go ahead," Justin replied. He wasn't worried about Guy Avery at all. As he spoke, he raised Angelina high up in the air with his two thick arms. "Justin, what are you doing? I'm warning you. Remember, I'm still carrying Guy Avery's child. If anything happens to me, he'll kill you," Angelina was shouting. Justin decided that he was wasting his time with these people. He wanted to get to the hospital, but first, he needed to make sure that no one else was going to try to frame Debbie for anything. At this moment, Rita and Janice walked up to him. They were very worried about Debbie's safety. Rita said, "Justin, I'm Debbie's friend." Janice said, "I'm Debbie's manager. We want to go with you to the hospital to see her." "Okay," Justin agreed. Then, seeing that Katie, Olivia, Melissa, and Rita were all wearing the same costumes, he asked Rita, "Did they want to go too?" She nodded. Katie, Olivia, and Melissa were pale with anxiety. They lowered their heads and hardly dared to breathe. They were afraid that Rita would say something about how they had bullied Debbie. "Okay, we'll go together." Justin glared at Melissa. He thought, "Damn, this was the girl that framed Debbie. But I've already punished her." They took 2 cars to the Chicago General Hospital. When they got there, they spoke to Debbie's doctor, who told them that she had received painkillers and she was no longer in pain. Her bite wounds had been bandaged, and she had been given a rabies vaccination. Fortunately, her injuries were all minor. She hadn't been as badly injured as Justin had feared. She had also been given a sedative and she was sleeping. Justin and the others sat with her quietly for 10 minutes before being told to leave by Justin. He then sat beside her bed, quietly waiting for her to wake up. The next morning, when Debbie slowly opened her eyes, she was still in a bit of a daze. She wondered, "Am I dead?" Then she noticed a man sleeping in a chair beside her bed. A few minutes later, Justin woke up. Seeing that she had woken up, he became excited. "Debbie, you're awake. That's wonderful. How are you feeling?" "Justin?" Debbie was a little confused. She didn't know why he was here. "Yes, it's me," he replied. Then he told her about how he had gone to the talent show the previous day and how she had been bitten by the dog. He continued, "Debbie, don't worry. Last night I beat up everyone who bullied you. As for your teammate Melissa, that girl really deserves to die." Debbie nodded slightly. Her heart was filled with gratitude toward Justin. If it wasn't for him, she was sure she would be dead. A few minutes later, a beautiful girl walked into the room and said, "Hello, Debbie." Then she turned to Justin and said, "Justin, the helicopter has arrived. We should fly to Washington now if we want to get there on time." Justin was supposed to attend a music contest in Washington that day. He had invited more than 10 popular singers from the entertainment industry to perform. He had already arranged to meet one of the female singers in a hotel room in Washington, and if they were late, they might forfeit their chances of winning. It was imperative that they get there on time. "You fly out there now. I need to stay in Chicago with Debbie." Although he said that he would stay, he wasn't completely sure that it was the right decision. The singer he had arranged to meet was a real stunner. Debbie looked at him. "You should go," she said with a smile. It was clear to her that Justin wanted to go. But nothing," she said assuredly. "I feel fine now. I'm not in pain. I just have a few small wounds from a dog's bite. It's nothing serious." "Okay. You rest well in the hospital. Why don't you call Alex and get him to come to Chicago to keep you company? And when you see him, give him a piece of my mind for not being here for you." His words made Debbie laugh. Justin stood up and walked outside. He spotted Melissa and shouted at her, "Take good care of her. If anything happens to her, I will blame you. Do you hear me?" I heard you, Melissa replied timidly. Then Justin said goodbye to Debbie and left. Melissa stood nervously in front of Debbie. The previous night, Janice and the others had stayed outside the hospital ward until 1 o'clock in the morning, before Janice had found a nearby hotel for Rita and the other band members. But Melissa hadn't dared to leave Debbie's side in case Justin appeared, as he would be furious if she wasn't there to take care of her. She had been extremely scared. She never would have thought that Debbie knew Justin Ambrose so well. She was so nervous that her palms started to sweat profusely again as she recalled the excessive things that she had done to Debbie back in New York. She was afraid that she would complain to Justin. "Debbie, are you still awake?" Debbie looked at her with an awkward smile. The person lying in front of her was not just Debbie, but someone who knew Justin well. How could she not be scared? Debbie realized that Melissa had never spoken to her in such a soft voice before. Thinking about how she had framed her the previous evening, she was confused and angry. "I'm sorry, Debbie. I was in the wrong yesterday. Please forgive me. I know when I do something wrong and I won't do it again," Melissa said. But Debbie's angry gaze scared her so much that she kneeled on the ground. Debbie was stunned. She never thought that Melissa would kneel in front of her one day. Then she remembered that Justin had said he would beat up anyone who bullied her. "Did Justin slap you in the face?" Only then did she notice that Melissa's face was swollen. There were still bruises on the corner of her mouth. Melissa used her hand to cover up the bruises, and tears started flowing down her cheeks. She looked at her, nodded slightly, and muttered, "Not only my face, but..." As she stood up, she turned around and... At first, Debbie didn't know what she was going to do. She was so frightened that she closed her eyes. It was too horrible to look at. "My boyfriend, Charlie Mason, doesn't want me anymore. I've already been punished enough. Please forgive me?" "All right, I'll forgive you," Debbie whispered. She already looked miserable, and Debbie wasn't the kind of person to hurt others. "Thank you, Debbie, thank you," Melissa said as her tears turned into smiles. She kept bowing and thanking her. "You don't have to be so formal with me," Debbie said with a faint smile. "How are your injuries? Did you let the doctor see them?" "It's fine, don't worry about me. You're the most important thing right now. Do you want a drink of water? Do you feel hot? How about I buy you a couple of buns to eat?" Melissa treated her well due to her connection with Justin. Don't fuss over me. I'm okay now. Just sit down. I don't need you to take care of me, she said as she realized that Melissa was being quite cute. All right, thank you. Melissa was tired after a sleepless night. She leaned against the windowsill and fell asleep. Debbie picked up her phone, found Alex's number, and called him. She missed him. Right now she wanted to hear his voice. Beep, beep. The sound of a busy signal came over the phone. The previous night back in New York, Susan was the only one who had not been drunk. She had called a few classmates, and then she had sent Alex and the others back to their dorm. At that moment, 4 people from his dorm were still lying on their beds snoring. Alex's phone was in his pocket, but he couldn't feel it vibrating. Hello, the user you have dialed is temporarily unable to answer the phone, a digital voice said. Debbie felt slightly disappointed. When she needed him the most, she couldn't reach him. Maybe he's busy, she thought as she put her phone down on the cabinet beside her. A nurse appeared to check on Debbie's condition. You're recovering very well. There aren't any symptoms. You'll be able to go home and rest after a week, the nurse said with a smile after checking her over. Great. Melissa looked at her and nodded with a smile. The nurse gave Debbie some water to drink and reminded her, right now you're still receiving antibiotics, glucose, etc. You may be feeling more tired than usual. Don't worry, as that's a normal reaction to your treatment. You should get plenty of rest and switch off your phone. That way it'll be quieter when you sleep. Don't worry, I'll take good care of her, Melissa reassured the nurse. After saying that, the nurse picked up the report and record book and left. Debbie, listen to the nurse and get a good night's sleep. I'll be watching over you from over there by the window, Melissa said while standing beside the bed smiling at her. Debbie nodded slightly and closed her eyes. After a while, she fell asleep. Melissa was about to rest by the windowsill when Debbie's phone rang from its spot on the cabinet. Only then did Melissa remember that the nurse had told Debbie to turn it off. She picked up the phone and was about to turn it off, but she casually swiped it. The phone didn't have a locked screen, so she opened it easily. When she saw the call log, she found that Debbie had just called Alex, but she hadn't been able to get through. Her mind started whirling. Debbie knew Justin, and Alex was Debbie's boyfriend. They both had the last name of Ambrose. Melissa suddenly realized that Alex was Justin's brother. Previously, she had been worried about what Justin would do to her, but she hadn't even thought about such a simple connection to Alex. She looked again at the phone, then she looked at Debbie, who was sleeping soundly on the bed. A trace of craftiness appeared in Melissa's eyes, and she came up with an idea. She took out her phone and turned her back to Debbie in case she happened to wake up. Then she started doing something with the 2 phones. Alex woke up in a daze. As usual, he picked up his phone and checked the time. It was already 9:30 in the morning, and his head was still dizzy. With another glance, he saw that there were 4 missed calls. He opened them and saw that Debbie and Justin had called. He halfway sobered up at the sight of Debbie's name and called her right away. Alex. His name appeared on the screen. Melissa was shocked and muted the phone. She kept the phone on until the name disappeared. What's going on? Alex wondered. Why isn't she answering my call? He was about to try again when a text message appeared. I'm busy right now, so I'll call you later. He stopped when he saw the message. He imagined there were still a lot of things she needed to do for the Chicago talent show. Why did Justin think of calling me? He thought for a while and called him back. Justin's phone lit up under the artificial lake where he had thrown it in anger the day before. Of course, no one would be able to pick it up. Alex tried 3 times, but nobody answered. Although he was a little suspicious, he had no other choice but to give it up. This must have gone crazy somewhere again, he thought. He put his phone in his pocket and went to the bathroom to wash up. His head still felt dizzy after drinking all night, even though he had splashed cold water on his face. He walked out of the dorm and decided to have a bite to eat on the street to help clear his head. Walking from the dorm to the campus gate and breathing in the fresh air, he started feeling a bit better. "Hello, Alex." A beautiful lady walked over as he was about to step out of the gate. It was Kelly Phillips. She waved at him with a sweet smile. Looking at Kelly, his heart moved. He realized that he was happy to see her again. This was not a good sign. He subconsciously reminded himself to keep his distance from her. She walked toward him and smiled. "Hello." He greeted her distantly with a slight nod and continued to walk, which made her feel a bit embarrassed. "Alex," she called after him, but he didn't even turn his head. She sighed softly, took 2 steps forward, and followed behind him. "Wait for me." She increased her pace to keep up with him. She looked at him and tried to get closer. She asked, "Have you eaten? What are you planning to do?" "No, let's eat," he said, but he didn't even look at her as he walked forward. Why is he so cold, really, she thought. But she was happy that at least he had agreed. However, with her intelligence, she could see that he was intentionally staying distant from her. Why did he want to do that? Because he had already sensed that if she continued to interact with him, she might fall in love with him. Her eyes flashed and she thought, "You want to keep your distance from me, but I won't let you." "How have you been these past few days?" she asked. "All right," he mumbled. "I ate pasta last night. What did you eat for dinner?" she bantered. "I went out for dinner," he mumbled again. "I haven't seen you with your girlfriend. Is there a problem?" she casually asked. He stopped walking and looked at her speechlessly. Kelly, who had been smiling happily as she trotted along, felt embarrassed when she saw him stop and stare at her. Her lips trembled, and her smile gradually turned awkward. Alex shook his head helplessly and continued walking forward. "What? Why are you glaring at me like that? What are you planning to do?" she wondered. He doesn't know how to respect beautiful women at all, she thought. She felt a pain in her stomach and quickly followed after him. If she took the initiative to talk to him, he would ignore her. "Alex, I was wrong, all right? Please be nice and speak to me, okay?" she begged pitifully, but he remained indifferent. They had just walked out of the gates. A Pontiac was parked right outside. The car had a bottle of mineral water on the roof, and a man of about 30 years of age was leaning out the window. He had often come to Preston University to fish for girls. Just at that university alone, he had already spent over $100,000. As he was playing with his phone and waiting for a potential pickup, he saw a beautiful girl coming out of the gate. His eyes lit up. She was too perfect. She was just like a model. For a girl like that, he would be willing to spend any amount of money. Seeing that she was walking in his direction, the man opened the door and got out of the car. Kelly's gaze was fixed on Alex, who had just walked past the rank. She didn't notice the other man standing next to the car at all. "Hey, beautiful, why are you in such a hurry?" The man stepped out in front of her. Seeing her at such close range made him even more excited. She was far from average, with her bright eyes, white teeth, and magnificent figure. Kelly looked at the man speechlessly. She wanted to dodge to the side, but he stood directly in front of her. "Beautiful woman, don't go. Get in the car," the man said as he was looking at her face. "Scram!" she snapped at him. Looking at his lewd smile, she took a cautious step backwards and cursed at him fiercely. "Even your voice is so nice," he said while shamelessly smiling. His brain and body were already very excited. He had only one thought on his mind, which was to get this girl into his car. "Beautiful girl, come on. I'll buy something for you when you get in the car," he said in a soothing voice. The man's mind was completely occupied by her. He opened his arms and pounced at her. "Ah!" She covered her ears and screamed. Whack! The man was about to grab her when a large fist landed on his head. "Ah!" He staggered to his right and his ears buzzed. He was angry. He turned around to attack his assailant and found Alex staring at him. He grabbed the man's hair and kicked him back into the car. The man's 2 front teeth hit the side of the car, covering his mouth with blood. "Get out of here!" Alex shouted at him. He was completely confused by Alex's demand. He ran into the car in a panic, then drove off like a wisp of smoke. Only then did Alex look at Kelly to see if she was hurt, but he found that she seemed to be staring at him with loving eyes. He was stunned for a moment before he turned around and left her standing there by the gate. She followed after him. "Alex, thank you," she said as she rushed beside him. He was indeed the hot-blooded man who had saved her that day. "Can you stop following me?" He stopped to look at her as he spoke. She stared quietly into his eyes. "I won't disturb you. If you find me annoying, I won't say anything either." She felt more and more that Alex was the right person for her. "What are you following me for?" he exclaimed. "You should know that I like you," she said boldly. "I'm telling you, I don't feel anything for you," he said worriedly. "Nonsense. If you don't like me, then why did you save me just now?" She didn't believe that he had protected her only out of a sense of justice. Her words made Alex's mind freeze. He knew that he had been really worried about her a moment ago when he had heard her scream. That was not a good sign. He had to stop this. "Miss Phillips, you have such a good family and life. I'm just a poor student who's worth nothing. I really don't understand. Why do you insist on following me?" he asked with a frown. "That's right. You've already said it very clearly. My conditions are good, but you're only a poor student. Why do you look down on me?" she said as he gazed directly into his eyes. Alex didn't know how to reply to her. He just looked at her angrily for a second, then turned around and walked ahead of her. She was determined to follow wherever he went. Talking to her now would only make him more disgusted with himself. He walked up to a stall on the street and asked for a plate of fries. She silently sat beside him as he pretended that she didn't exist. "What would your girlfriend like to eat?" the food vendor asked him. Alex was speechless. He tried to explain to the vendor that he had nothing to do with Kelly, but she spoke first. "I'll have the same as him." The vendor prepared a plate for her. She smiled lightly, but Alex's face had grown dark. 2 plates of fries were served at the same time. Alex grabbed a few mouthfuls. He didn't care about Kelly at all, so he paid the bill and left. "Miss, you 2 had a fight, right? This won't do," the vendor said to Kelly while she was still eating. She smiled faintly at the man. Then her gaze shifted to Alex's figure as he was leaving. She stopped eating and stared at his back until she could no longer see him. Debbie was still at the Chicago General Hospital. She had slept for more than 3 hours straight, but she started to wake up slowly. "Debbie, you're awake." Melissa, Janice, and Rita were all next to her bed. Katie and Olivia stood off to the side of the room. "What are you all—" Debbie was not used to so many people looking at her. She wanted to sit up, but the others held her arms back down on the bed. "Don't be like this. I'm fine. You guys are busy with your own things. Don't worry about me," she said as she looked at them. "We're all fine. Right now, it's your well-being that's the most important," Katie said. "That's right, Debbie. If you need anything, just tell me. I'll make sure you eat properly. When I came up, I brought some pineapples. I'll give you some to eat," Olivia said. Rita looked at Katie and Olivia with displeasure. While Debbie slept, the 2 of them had been anxiously walking around and mumbling to each other, writing drafts, and practicing how to talk to her when she woke up. "No need," Debbie smiled faintly. She was not a vengeful person. "Janice, when are we going back to New York?" she asked. Before they had departed for Chicago, she'd heard from Janice and a few others that they had already booked their return flights. "Don't worry about that," Janice replied, holding her hand. She felt very sorry for what had happened the previous day. "I'll return the plane tickets later, and we'll all be here with you. Just take care of yourself." Originally, Janice had been prepared to stay with Rita to take care of Debbie, but Melissa and the others also took the initiative to stay. If they were to leave now, it could impact Debbie's recovery. "Don't do that." After hearing Janice's intentions, Debbie rejected her idea without a second thought. She never wanted to delay other people's plans because of her matters. Don't return the plane tickets. We'll go back according to our original plan. Don't be willful. You're not in any state to travel just now. You don't need to worry about us. And you haven't got much to do in New York right now anyway. What's your rush to get back? We'll all stay here while you recover, Janice said, because she wanted her to get better as soon as possible. That's right. Debbie, don't think too much about it, said one of the girls. We're all part of the same group. How could I leave you behind? Said another. If we don't see that you're getting better, we won't feel good about it, said yet another. They were all trying to persuade Debbie. Debbie smiled as she shook her head. Being cared for by so many people made her heart feel especially warm. However, she still couldn't accept it. She wasn't willing to sacrifice the interests of others to accommodate her concerns. Janice was only a manager with the Sunshine Music Company. The funds for the trip to Chicago were limited, so Janice would have to pay her out of pocket to change the plane tickets. They would also need to cover their expenses while they stayed in Chicago, and that would cost a considerable amount of money. Janice, I appreciate your kindness, but I really don't need you to stay here. Don't look at the bandages on my body. It's actually a very small injury. Plus, Chicago is not far from New York. When they finished eating, Janice went through the discharge procedures for her. The doctor told her that Debbie must visit a hospital as soon as she returned to New York. The 6 women squeezed into 2 cabs and drove to the hotel. As soon as they arrived, Melissa, Katie, and Olivia took the initiative to pack for Debbie. Soon her luggage was ready to go. Thank you, Debbie said gratefully. Please don't. This is what we should do. Okay, Debbie, you lie in the bed for a while. We'll come and get you at 6:30. With that, Melissa and the other 2 left. Debbie sat on the bed and took out her phone. Alex should be fine now, right? After mulling it over for a while, she pressed his name in the contact list. She had decided that she would not tell him about her injuries yet. She didn't want him to worry. Beep, 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 beep. A busy signal sounded. She couldn't reach him. A digital voice came over the phone. I'm sorry, but the call you have made cannot be answered at this time. Debbie was a little disappointed and thought, maybe he's busy right now. But when he sees that I called, he'll call me back. It's good if I can't reach him. Then I don't have to hide this from him. After thinking for a long time, she finally texted Alex. I'll be at New York International Airport at around 9 o'clock tonight. Do you want to come and pick me up? What Debbie didn't know was that his phone didn't ring at all. The phone that did ring and that had received her message was Alyssa's, and she was next door to her. Looking on her phone screen at the missed call that Debbie had placed, the corner of Melissa's mouth curled into a smile. Earlier at the hospital, she had secretly changed Alex's phone number on Debbie's phone for her own. She had also saved his number on her phone. Alex was Justin's older brother and part of the Ambrose family. So how could she not be tempted to do that? That morning, when Debbie had fallen asleep, Melissa had outlined the entire plan in her mind. She wanted to snatch Alex for herself and make him feel completely disappointed in Debbie. The previous day, Angelina Sanders had revealed something to her. She had said that if a woman got pregnant with a man's baby, then no matter how much that man disliked her, he could only resign himself to his fate. So, Melissa's ultimate goal was to get pregnant with Alex's baby. Melissa thought about this. She found Lou Rourke's number in her contact list and pressed it. Soon, Lou picked up the call. Beautiful girl, why are you calling me? Are you free? I'll treat you to a meal, he said over the phone in a vulgar voice. Come on, I'm afraid I'm going to fall in love with you, Melissa said as she smiled coldly. She had almost fallen for Lou's trick last year. As far as she knew, there were 4 or 5 people who had fallen for Lou's trick. Look at what you're saying. Would you dare? He said. I'm calling you today to introduce you to a beautiful girl, Melissa said, getting straight to the point. Really? Is she beautiful? When Lou heard this, he was instantly intrigued. Melissa sent him a photo of Debbie. He reacted positively and said, This girl is so pretty. She's perfect for me to mess with. I'll make her life unforgettable. Melissa could even imagine Lou's bedraggled look. She's my friend. Tonight we're flying back to New York. Her boyfriend's name is Alex, so you can tell her that he told you to pick her up, and she should follow you to the car. As for what we're going to do next, I think you know better than me, Melissa said. Of course. She's that kind of a noob. So it's easy to trick her then. But I don't even know her boyfriend, so how would she believe me? He said. You don't need to worry about that. I'll arrange it for you. Just do what I told you to do. What's your license plate number? She said, along with a few more words to him before hanging up. She played with her phone, planning things out in her head. A few minutes later, she stopped checking her phone. Then she opened her SMS interface and sent a message to Debbie. That morning, she'd even forged the text messages she had sent between Debbie and Alex. As long as Debbie didn't look at the date and time, she wouldn't notice anything amiss. Clink, clink. Debbie took out her phone and saw that it was a text from Alex. Debbie, I'll be very busy today. I'm still in a meeting and might not be able to pick you up at the airport tonight. But don't worry, I'll ask my friend to pick you up. His name is Lou, and he drives a cab. Debbie was slightly disappointed. At the same time, she was a little confused. Why did Alex have a friend who drove a... she wondered. But when she thought about his identity, Debbie understood. She was feeling that his text message was a bit weird, but she couldn't figure out why. Debbie dropped her phone on the bed and slowly walked over to her suitcase. She took out a locked notebook. It was her diary. Since high school, she had been in the habit of keeping a diary as a way of relieving her stress and expressing her feelings. Whether it was happiness, sadness, or pain, she would record it in her diary. She sat down at the desk and started writing. Thursday, June 4th, 2019. Yesterday, I participated in the Sky's the Limit talent show. I didn't expect Melissa would frame me. When I was chased into the water by that dog, there was only one feeling in my body: pain. Heart-piercing pain. I cowardly chose to give up. At that moment when I was about to die, only Alex came to my mind. I called Alex twice, but he didn't answer. He had texted to say that he was busy. I feel a little disappointed, but I don't blame him at all. Alex has arranged for his friend Lou to pick me up at the airport. After an hour of writing, Debbie slowly closed the diary and locked it with its delicate lock. Her diary had never been read by anyone. At 7 o'clock in the evening, Janice brought Debbie and the others down to the lobby to take a taxi to the Chicago International Airport. After nearly a 2-hour flight, the plane landed in New York. Janice and Rita supported Debbie as she slowly walked out of the terminal. They had planned to send Debbie to New York's General Hospital first, but she refused. Janice, Melissa, don't worry about it. I'll go with Alex, Debbie said as she smiled blandly. Alex told me that his friend would come and pick me up. Oh, so you're waiting for your boyfriend's friend. Janice, there's no need to rush Debbie. After staying in Chicago for such a long time, she's worried about not seeing her boyfriend, Melissa said, joking around because she wanted to get Janice and the others to leave this matter alone. That won't do. Call Alex now and we'll feel better when we see him, Janice said. Although Debbie didn't know it, she could only give him a symbolic call. Melissa had already muted her phone. Don't worry, Alex told me that he's going to get his friend to pick me up. Yes, you can help me find him, she explained to Janice and the others. Melissa calmly sent a text message to Lou, asking him to drive the car over. She initially wanted to wait until Janice and the others had left before texting Lou. For the sake of seeing a beautiful girl like Debbie, Lou had been waiting outside the airport since 7 o'clock. When he heard from Melissa, he drove slowly towards the arrivals terminal. Is that the one? Melissa's sharp eyes caught sight of an approaching woolly duck. You guys wait here, I'll go take a look. As she spoke, Melissa walked quickly toward the car. Lou had already spotted Debbie, who was not far away. She was even more beautiful than in her photos. He smiled at Melissa and said, Beautiful girl, your friends are all lovely. Each one is more beautiful than the other. I'll settle for this one first, but you should contact them all for me when I have time. What happened to your teeth? Melissa looked at Lou speechlessly. When she saw the 2 black holes in place of his front teeth, she was momentarily taken aback. It's nothing, Lou muttered and hurriedly covered his mouth. How could he say that he had been beaten up by someone because he had harassed a girl in front of Preston University? Give me some of your knockout drugs, Melissa commanded as she extended her hand toward him. She was familiar with his technique and knew that he had drugs on him. What? He asked. What's with all the nonsense? Do you have it or not? If you don't take her today, will you still want to sleep with her? She said. Sure, here. Lou took out a bottle from the glove compartment and gave it to Melissa. He smiled and stuffed it into her pocket. Have you remembered what I taught you? Hearing Lou's impatient answer, Melissa said to him, without his 2 front teeth, he looked extremely ugly. All right, you can go over there now. With that, Melissa waved to Debbie and the others and went up to them. Debbie, I've asked clearly, and he's here to pick you up. Lou pulled up in front of Debbie and walked up to her in a very polite manner. Hello, are you Miss Debbie? I'm a friend of Alex. My name is Lou, and I'm here to pick you up. Lou was not acting vulgar at all. On the contrary, he looked like a refined young man, which gave the girls a good impression. Okay, thank you, Debbie said to him before turning to Janice and the rest. Janice, okay, you don't have to worry about my safety anymore. You guys can go, it's getting late. Janice and the others insisted on watching her get into the car and leave. She got in the passenger seat, waved goodbye to Janice and the girls, and Lou slowly drove away. Okay, Debbie's finally taken care of. Let's all go home, Janice said. After she had finished her sentence, the 5 women said goodbye to each other and left. Melissa stood by the side of the road, and it looked like she was waiting for a car. When she saw that everyone else had gone, she returned to the arrivals entrance. If she missed her great opportunity that night, it would be much harder to get close to Alex. If she could get pregnant with his baby, it would be equivalent to winning the lottery. Even if Lou's deeds were eventually exposed, she didn't believe that Alex would do anything to her after she was pregnant. After planning what to say for a few minutes, she took a deep breath and dialed Alex's number. Hello, who is this? His voice excited her. He was from a very wealthy family. Hello, Alex. I'm Melissa, Debbie's friend from the girl group. We've met, Melissa said with extreme gentleness. She was a little nervous. After all, she had looked down on him so much before. Why are you calling me? His voice became colder. He indeed didn't like her very much, but he was a well-mannered man. At least he should first listen to what the other party had to say. What if it had something to do with Debbie? It's like this. I'm at the airport now, she said. Hearing that she was at the airport, he asked, Have you guys come back? Where's Debbie? Is she also at the airport? No, listen to me. Debbie and the others will arrive later. They still have some things to do in Chicago. They're probably negotiating with important figures right now. So it's best if you don't call her. She won't answer anyway, Melissa said gently. She was afraid that he would try to call Debbie, which would ruin her plan. Is that so? He whispered. What did you say just now? It's like this. The reason I came back early was because I was injured in Chicago. Debbie gave me her phone number. I'm at the airport right now with lots of luggage. It's very heavy and it's hard for me to pick up. Your friends are all busy at the moment, so I wanted to ask if you can come over and help me, Melissa said carefully. It was Debbie who had given her my phone number? She probably would want me to go to the airport to help her because she can't help right now, he thought. Alex, is it possible? I called you because I really had no other choice. I definitely wouldn't trouble you if there was someone else who could help me. She was still pleading. Even though he felt that this was a weird request, he still decided to help her. All right, I'll come over now, he said bluntly. He called a taxi and went straight to the airport. Alex got a taxi and quickly arrived at the airport terminal. When she saw him, Melissa waved excitedly. Alex sighed and walked over to her. When he saw the bruises on the corner of her mouth, he was quite surprised. He thought her foot or arm would be injured. He would never have suspected that her mouth injury was caused by Justin, Let's go. Where is your home? He picked up her luggage and walked with her to the side of the road. They called a taxi and drove to her building. He helped her carry her luggage up to her apartment where she lived alone. Thank you so much, Alex. Let's have dinner together. I'll make it. She looked at him passionately. No need. If there is nothing else, I'll be leaving. With that, he walked toward the door. Wait a minute, she shouted excitedly. How could she miss such a good opportunity? Looking at the bewildered Alex, her mind was a mess. Drink some water before you leave, then it won't feel so bad. After all, you've helped me so much. Sure, he said and nodded. Seeing her expression, he could see that she felt quite uncomfortable not thanking him properly. All right then, you sit here. I'll go get you some water, she said. She was overjoyed when she heard him agree. She took a glass out of the cupboard and noticed that he was looking at his phone. She secretly took out the bottle from Lou and poured some powder into the glass. She filled the glass with some water and swirled it around a little until the powder dissolved, then filled up the rest of the glass and brought it over to Alex. Thank you, he said and gulped down all the water at once. All right, I'll be going now. When he stood up, he felt a heavy weight on his head and sat back down on the sofa. Alex, what are you doing? She asked him with concern. It's fine. He didn't know that she had drugged him, so he thought it was his fault. He scratched his head to resist for a while, but in the end he couldn't hold on anymore and slowly fell asleep on the sofa. Alex? Alex? She called out a few times beside his ear. He didn't react at all. The corner of her mouth curved up. She put her hands under his armpits and slowly dragged his heavy body toward her bedroom. At the same time, Lou had used his fake friend identity to trick Debbie into eating a meal with him at a restaurant. Before the meal was finished, she had already passed out at the table. Up until that moment, Lou had been pretending to be a humble gentleman. Only then did he reveal a wicked smile. He quickly paid the bill, put his arm around her shoulder and helped her walk to the car, and drove straight to a hotel that he frequented. Nearly carrying her, he hurried into the hotel room. He pushed the semi-unconscious Debbie onto the round bed, causing her to fall onto it. But she didn't react at all, as if she was asleep. He quickly took off and walked toward the bathroom. After washing up, he used a white towel to dry himself while walking out of the bathroom barefoot. He threw the towel on the floor, turned on his phone's camera, and pointed it toward the bed. Seeing her mouth slightly open, with her bright pink tongue and white teeth, caused his eyes to open wider and wider. Lou couldn't hold it anymore. Bang, bang, bang! A knock on the door to the room sounded like thunder. He thought it was one of the hotel's staff, so he shouted, I don't need anything, don't bother me. Bang, bang, bang! The pounding on the door wouldn't stop, and it seemed to have become more forceful. Do you not understand human speech? He roared in anger. Lou, try cursing me again. A voice more confident than his sounded from outside. When he heard this voice, the excitement in his body disappeared. It was replaced by panic. The person shouting outside was his wife. He could only live such a leisurely life with the support of his wife's family. Without his wife, even eating would be a problem for him. Wifey, why are you here? He asked as he quickly got off the bed. If his wife saw that he was having a secret affair, he would be done for. Oh, wait a moment, I just finished my shower. Listening to his wife pounding on the door, he was scared out of his wits. He carried Debbie in a panic. He tore off the bed sheets and tied the sheets around her armpits. Now he had no choice but to hide her. He had done this before during an affair with someone else when his wife came back. This was the 4th floor. Lou hung Debbie out of the window by tying one end of the bedsheet to the open frame and closed the window. There was a sill outside, and as long as the window was not opened, she wouldn't fall down. He pulled the curtain, quickly pulled the covers over the bed, and rearranged the pillows, put away his phone, and opened the door for his wife. She came in and hit him on the head a few times, Then she asked him why he hadn't come home. Lou told a few lies, and his wife searched around the room. She didn't find anyone else, so she somewhat trusted his words. "I'll sleep here tonight as well," his wife said as she stared at him. When she saw that the curtains were drawn tightly, she frowned and asked, "Why have you pulled the curtains together? It's better to enjoy the night scenery." As he spoke, she walked up to the curtains and pulled them open. "What is—" His wife saw the sheets stuck in the window. "Don't move." Lou couldn't help but yell out loud. He rushed over to stop her, but she had already opened the window. The two of them simultaneously looked down as a white shadow fell, landing on the ground with a thud. "Lou," his wife pointed at him and cursed. "I'll explain it to you when we get back." Now that Debbie had fallen, he wasn't scheming about cheating. It was more important for him to find out what had happened to her. Did she fall to her death? He thought. "Why are you still standing there? Hurry up and go down," his wife also shouted. The couple hurriedly ran out of the room and went straight down the stairs. It took them 3 or 4 minutes to reach the ground outside the room's window. But when they got there, they were both stunned. There was no one on the ground. The road was quiet, as if nothing had happened. "Lou? Where is she?" His wife didn't understand what was going on. "How should I know? Maybe she was taken to the hospital by a passing car, or maybe someone else saved her." He was extremely nervous. If Debbie was sent to the hospital, she would definitely find out about him. "Let's go home," he said in confusion. His wife scolded him angrily. "What do you think I should do? Don't forget, it's because of you that she fell down," he said fiercely to her. The two of them checked out of the hotel and went home. Several cars had driven by on that quiet road, and the hotel staff had come out to see what the commotion had been about. However, no one had noticed that a girl had fallen from a 4th-floor window. The following day, Alex opened his eyes with a fearful feeling that he couldn't shake off. The previous night, he had a nightmare, and he was still in a state of agitation. Then in an instant, he realized that he wasn't in the dormitory. "Where am I?" he thought. He turned his head to the side and found a woman leaning on his chest with... His body trembled. He sat up and discovered that his heart jumped. He felt cold. "Alex, you're awake," Melissa whispered, as she also sat up. He turned his head and remembered that he had gone to help her with the luggage the previous night, then drank a glass of water. After the water, his brain felt heavier and heavier until he finally couldn't remember anything anymore. "You did this on purpose. You drugged me," he said angrily. "That's right, I did it on purpose," she admitted. He cursed. How could he explain to Debbie that this woman would use such a despicable method to ensnare him? "You can scold me, but you might not know that I've liked you since the first time I saw you. But every time you came to send Debbie off, you didn't even look at me. I'm jealous. I'm not worse than Debbie. Why did she get you and not me?" She started to make excuses for her actions. "Just pretend this never happened. If you let Debbie know about this, I'll make you regret it. From now on, you'll be you and I'll be me. Don't ever show your face in front of me again," he said to her coldly. As he said that, "Alex, how can you treat me like this? I've handed myself over to you," she said as she sobbed behind him. He turned around and saw her slowly lifting up the blanket. There was a glaring red patch on the white bedsheet. Alex froze as his heart was sinking. And he hadn't thought that he and Melissa would... He sat on the edge of the bed dejectedly. His face was burning, and an image of a person appeared in his mind. Debbie. How could he even tell her how sorry he was after doing such a thing with another woman? If Debbie knew, how could she bear it, he thought. Just then, 2 arms hugged him from behind. Melissa put her face against his back and said, "You were so awesome last night. Although you were in a daze, but you still held me tightly. It was like you were sleepwalking. In your hands, I was like a weak little lamb, before I snuggled into your arms and fell asleep." Did I take you? Alex asked absent-mindedly. Right now, he only cared if she could be. What do you think? Seeing you satisfied made my heart happy. Her eyes flickered as she said softly, Don't worry, I'll give birth to a son for you. No need, he said in a low voice. As he spoke, he slowly removed her hands from around his waist and stood up with his back facing her. Rest well for 2 days and get an observed as soon as possible if you need one. I'll give you $5 million as compensation. After he finished speaking, he continued putting on his clothes. No, I don't want any money. I want you. Alex, how can you say such words to me? This isn't what a man should say. Melissa looked at him angrily and said, $5 million is nothing. You're rich. If I marry you, $5 million will mean nothing. The reason this happened is because you drugged me. This isn't from the heart. I won't admit this child is mine, but there won't be $5 million for you. I hope you think about it carefully, he said coldly as he finished getting dressed. Are you really that heartless? I gave you the most precious thing, and now you're not only not with me, are all the things I've done for you so worthless? She said, crying while she sat in bed. I've already said that I'll give you $5 million as compensation. I hope you can make a wise decision, he stated as he walked out. Alex, don't go, I need you, she gasped as she jumped down from the bed and hugged him from behind. He pushed her away mercilessly and slammed the door to her apartment as he left. Half of what Alex had said to Melissa was just to scare her. If she was pregnant, no matter whose fault it was, how could he bear it? At that moment, he felt the best result would be if she'd been intimidated and went and gotten a... However, he didn't have time to think about her situation. His heart was filled with guilt and unease. He didn't even know how to face Debbie. After walking on the road for a long time, he finally took out his phone. Of course, he didn't want to confess this to Debbie, but he wanted to hear her voice so that he would feel more comfortable. Beep, beep. Sorry, the user you have dialed is temporarily unable to connect. Listening to the digital phone voice, he had a bad premonition. The previous day, her phone couldn't be reached. That day, she still couldn't be reached. It seemed that Melissa had lied to him about Debbie not answering the phone because she'd been busy. Alex's bad premonition grew stronger and stronger. He hailed a taxi and headed straight to the Sunshine Music Company. As soon as he asked the staff members, he found out that Janice and the others had already returned the previous day. It was as if he had been electrocuted. He asked for Janice's cell number and called her straight away. Hello, Janice, I'm Alex. Is Debbie with you right now? Why hasn't she come home? I can't get through to her phone either. What? Didn't you ask your friend to bring Debbie back yesterday? What's going on? Exclaimed Janice. When he heard Janice's words, he felt a chill run down his spine. He knew that something had happened to Debbie. Who took her? Where? When? He wanted to know the key information right away. It was at the airport terminal. Debbie said you wanted a friend to pick her up. Then a commute came. The man said he was your friend, so she followed him into the car. Oh yeah, his name was Lou. What's going on? Isn't he your friend? Where is she now? Janice asked. He called Melissa next. He had a premonition that she had planned all this. At that moment, he wasn't even feeling angry at her. He only wanted to confirm that Debbie was safe as soon as possible. Where's Debbie now? Hurry up and speak, he asked anxiously. Melissa was not a fool. She knew that he now believed that she was lying. However, she couldn't admit that she worked with Lou to devise that plan. I'm sorry, I lied to you yesterday. Debbie came back from Chicago with me. She said you told a friend to come and pick her up, and then a car arrived. She confirmed it, and then got in the car with him, Melissa said calmly. I know you're lying to me. You asked someone to take Debbie away. Tell me where she is now. He became anxious. It really has nothing to do with me. If you don't believe me, you can ask Janice and the others. Ask if Debbie personally said that she would be picked up by your friend, she said. Alex didn't have time to judge whether Melissa's words were true or false. I already know what you said. Do you have any other clues? He asked. No, I'm the same as Janice and the others. I only know that much. When Melissa heard that he didn't ask her any further questions, the corners of her mouth curled up into a cold smile. Damn it, he cursed into the phone. Wait, Alex, can you take me to the hospital? This was my first time and I'm scared. He had already hung up the phone when she asked. Dare you hang up on me? Melissa cursed as her face again revealed a trace of cold smile. She muttered, It's fine if you don't go, and it'll make things easier for the doctors. Melissa didn't want to go to the hospital yet. After she came to her senses, she called Lou to check on his situation. Did you have a good time last night? She asked. She felt that with Lou's experience as a pervert, what are you playing at? No! Lou was smoking in his room. He was worried that the police would come and find him. She was shocked and hurriedly asked him what was going on. He had planned this together with her, so there was no need for him to hide anything from her. He could tell her everything that had taken place. When he finally told her what he had done, she wanted to slap him hard in the face. What the hell? Why did she disappear? And now, he didn't even know where she or her body was. Why was he causing so much trouble for her? When my wife and I went down to see her, she was nowhere to be found. Who knows where she went? Lou said in frustration. I guess she was saved by a passing car and sent to the hospital. Then I'll be in big trouble. It's best if she died. Let me tell you, she's just a country bumpkin. No one will care about her life. If the police end up finding you, just say that you did it all by yourself. Don't give me up too, she said, as she calculated a new plan. Hey, Melissa, you don't care at all. Why are you making me shoulder all the responsibility alone? I won't do it. Lou wasn't stupid. She cursed herself in her heart. Let me tell you, this girl's boyfriend isn't an ordinary person. I can tell you that his family is one of the most powerful in the country. If he finds out that we designed this plan, neither of us will have a good ending. I can still protect myself, but you? Do you know how to write the word death? She said coldly. Why didn't you say so earlier? Damn, you purposely tricked me to playing your game, right? When Lou heard that the girl's boyfriend was so awesome, he couldn't help but curse. Don't act so terrible with me. Let me tell you, we're connected now. One word. Do you want to listen to me? Melissa was not someone to mess with. Now was the critical time to get Alex to secure her future. Fine, I'll listen to you. I'll listen to you, damn it. He slammed his fist into the table. As long as you take full responsibility, I'll definitely be able to protect you, she said. Melissa felt she was already Alex's woman. She was confident that she could snatch him away from Debbie. Listen to me. We don't know what happened to Debbie. The best outcome is if she's still alive and can't remember anything. If that's not the case, then you have to find her. If you need compensation, I'll pay you for it. After this incident is over, I'll give you $2 million. $2 million? You have that much money? He understood what she was saying quite well. Although she was a rich girl, it wouldn't be easy for her to give him $2 million. But if she could, it would be a good deal for him. I'm already in a relationship with her boyfriend, and I'll be marrying him soon. Like I said, his family is one of the country's top families. Do you think I can't get hold of $2 million? Melissa said lightly. She believed that her plan would succeed.
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.